What's going on, everybody? Welcome into College Football Now. My name is Joey Peterson. It was a Sunday, bloody Sunday for one Billy Napier, as after 4 seasons with the Florida Gators, he is now seeking new employment, and that job for a very big school, very powerful school, and a very powerful conference is open, so we got to talk about what is next for the Florida Gators. His buyout, though, it looks like this: $20 million total, half of that, so $10 million, must be paid within the first 30 days, and there is no offset language in that contract, meaning if he gets a new job, he still gets every cent of that $20 million. And I know he lost his job. The human element of this is a big deal. You know, he's a human just like you and I are. However, he is now a human with $20 million straight coming to his bank account some point over the next year or so. Before I give you my names, drop it for me in the comment section down below. Who do you think will be Florida's next head coach? Who's going to replace Billy Napier? Let me know in the comment section down below. Lane Kiffin is the first name, and usually I don't number these. I just kind of have names and say they're not going in any particular order. Today we're going to change things up because Lane Kiffin is going to be the first option for the Florida Gators, and that is obvious. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody's saying that because they're really not trying to hide it. Josh Pate was on his show, Josh Pate's college football show, just last night, and he said, I think that their search begins and ends with Lane Kiffin. And last year, when Lane Kiffin was kind of being floated around the Florida job because Billy Napier's job status was up in the air and in question before they went on that crazy winning streak to end the season, a lot of people believe that Lane Kiffin would leave Ole Miss to take that job. And as of right now, I kind of feel like he still would, but I think it's a little bit more questionable. He's built something really, really impressive at Ole Miss, and although they did not get it done on the road against Georgia this past weekend, where he has that school, where he has that program, and how he's kind of woven himself into the fabric of Oxford, Mississippi, it's really, really cool to see, really, really impressive. And I feel like it'd be hard for him to leave that job. However, at the end of the day, you have to realize the opportunities at Florida are better. They are greater, okay? In my opinion, that is a much better job than Ole Miss. So if he wants to move up the ranks in that sense of the word, I feel like he'd have to take that job if offered to him. Would Lane Kiffin leave Ole Miss for Florida? You let me know in the comment section down below. Give me a yes or give me a no. Weigh in with your answer. Number 2, Alex Golesh. This was a guy that was top of the list the last time we did this video about a month and a half ago, and I think he will remain at the top of that list. What he's been able to do at USF has been nothing short of incredibly impressive. He, in fact, beat Billy Napier just about 4 weeks ago in the swamp. Pretty unbelievable stuff right there. It feels like Alex Golesh this year has beat more SEC teams in the swamp than Billy Napier has with Florida. What Alex Golesh has done recruiting-wise for a team and a school and a program like USF, you have to take notice of it. The talent that he's getting there and what he's doing with that talent is unbelievable, okay? In my opinion, they're my group of 5 pick to make the college football playoff. They're absolutely dominant. He comes from that Josh Heupel tree, the Josh Heupel system, wide splits. They're going to go fast. They're going to score a lot of points. And if you look at what Florida wants, if you look at what Florida needs, they want a coach, just like Andy Staples said last night, a lot like Steve Spurrier, that can score points and that likes to talk a little bit while doing it. That is exactly who and what Alex Golesh is. I think Jedd Fisch is another name we've got to mention, the head coach at Washington. Prior to Washington, he was at Arizona doing very impressive things there, made the move to the Huskies after after Alabama hired Kalen DeBoer from Washington. He also is an alumni of the University of Florida, so I think he's easily a name that has to be in discussion. They didn't look that great against Michigan this past weekend, but still, they've only lost 2 games this year, and their 2 losses are against Michigan and Ohio State. Pretty easy opponents to lose to. Jedd Fisch has been phenomenal, okay? He's been really, really impressive over his past couple of years, coaching with Washington, what he was able to do with Arizona in that conference with that kind of talent pool, I think is really impressive. I don't think he's a name at the top of the list, But if they go a couple of guys who give them some nose, Jedd Fisch, in my opinion, would be a slam dunk hire by the Florida Gators. James Franklin is a name we've got to talk about currently. I had to say unemployed. It was too easy of a joke not to mention that. As we know, he lost his job with Penn State just about 14 days ago. Or was it last Sunday, Gage? It was last Sunday, 7 days ago. 8 days ago was when he was fired by Penn State. They've had a wretched and a horrible season with and without him. This year, there's a lot of expectations going into the season for the Nittany Lions. They massively underplayed. They just haven't had a great year, right? And there was a reason that they wanted to move on from him, because he's not been able to win the big one. But if you want a little bit of stability in your program, if you want to be a 9 to 10 win team every single year, which Florida has not been in a very long time, James Franklin might just be your guy. Rhett Lashlee is another name that's come up in a lot of new head coach vacancy conversations because of what he's been able to do at SMU. Took that team to the playoff just a year ago. Feels like what he's got going on with SMU is very, very stable. And it feels like if he stayed with SMU, they would be a competitor every single season for a long time to come. But that's the question. Does he want to stay at SMU, or does he want to take a step up, get a, quote, better job, or is he fine just competing every single year in the ACC? He's going to have offers to be a head coach at a bigger program over the next couple of months. I can almost guarantee you that, but will he take them? Does he think the Florida job is better than the SMU job? That's what he's going to have to ask himself. What do you feel about the Florida job? Grade it for me down below. Give me an A, B, C, D, or F. How would you grade it? Okay, think recruiting base, think NIL, think history. Let me know in the comment section down below. We got 5 more names to give you, but before we do that, I got to give you guys an awesome deal with the friends at PrizePicks. If you download the app right now, use our code CLNS, you get $50 in lineups. All you got to do is play your first $5 lineup. Today's show is brought to you by our great friends at PrizePicks. You and I make decisions every day, but on PrizePicks, being right can get you paid. So don't miss any of the excitement this season on PrizePicks, where it's good to be right. PrizePicks is the only app that offers stacks, meaning you can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. Want to pick more on Josh Allen's pass yards, rush yards, and touchdowns? Now you can pick all of them in the same lineup only on PrizePicks. Follow other PrizePicks players directly on the app and copy their lineups in one click. Whether it's a friend, celebrity, partner, or just someone whose picks you like, hit the follow button and check out every lineup they create in the new feed tab on PrizePicks. Here is my PrizePicks lineup for tonight's Monday night football games. Just like you could copy people's picks on the PrizePicks app, you can copy mine right now. Give me the more on Jackson Smith and Jigba for half a receiving touchdown. Give me the more on 246.5 passing yards for Baker Mayfield. And give me the more on Nick Chubb, 35.5 rush yards. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. The link to this promo is in the comments and description of today's video. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. I think Fran Brown is another name that we've got to mention. I think what he's been doing with Syracuse, before Steve Angeli went down with that torn ACL in the middle of their game, absolutely routing the Clemson Tigers. He had Steve Angeli playing like one of the best quarterbacks in the NCAA. In fact, Steve Angeli at the time led FBS in passing yards. Fran Brown is one of those young names that it feels like he has the respect from his players of a coach that has been coaching in this league for 100 years. It feels like those guys that play at Syracuse for Fran Brown would want to run through a brick wall for him. And we all know that Syracuse most likely isn't going to be anybody's end-all be-all. And I don't think that is the same for Fran Brown. Now, it feels like he's a little bit more of a risk because he doesn't have as many years as a head coach. There's not a ton to go off of from his time. But what we've seen in the short time of him being at Syracuse, I think it's impressed a lot of people, myself included. Curious to see if Florida's impressed as well. Jeff Brohm, head coach at Louisville. He does more with less. You can put it that way, plain and simple. Feels like every single year, Louisville is in the discussion for the top of the ranks of the ACC. Feels like every single year, Louisville wins 1 or 2 games that they shouldn't win against teams that have much better talent. Our case in point, their Friday night game against the Miami Hurricanes. Okay? Jeff Brohm is an unbelievable head coach. He's got the proven track record. And it feels like Florida over the last 5 years, over the last half decade, has lost a lot of games that they shouldn't lose, the exact opposite of that. I think Jeff Brohm feels like it wouldn't be a sexy pick, but he's a guy, kind of like Curt Cignetti, feels like he just wins. Our eighth coach, Marcus Freeman. This one feels like a little bit more of a bigger shot taken by Florida, but I would imagine they're at least interested in calling him up, hitting him up. But in my opinion, it's all going to come down to whether Marcus Freeman feels like that is a right step for him. And I don't believe that it is. When you are at Notre Dame, when you're an independent, when you are a school with the history that Notre Dame has, all you have to do every single year is win 10 ball games and you are in the college football playoff. That might not do it in the SEC. Okay? There's a lot of teams in the SEC, I believe, that are going to end this year with 10 wins that won't make it into the playoff. Not the case for Notre Dame. He's got everything he could ever need there. I don't think he would ever leave Notre Dame unless it was for a top 2 or 3 job, which I do not believe right now that Florida is. Coming up next at number 9, we got to talk about Eli Drinkwitz, the head coach at Missouri. And as much as I don't really like Eli Drinkwitz because I think he's corny and because I went to the University of Tennessee, so he just kind of annoys me, I think you cannot ignore what he's been able to do at Mizzou, at a school like that, which is a easily bottom 5 school in the best conference in football. He just wins ball games. They're players. They love to play for him. The recruiting, it's there as well. It's hard to recruit kids to go play at Missouri when they're probably also being looked at by Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, Florida, Michigan. Like, it's hard to convince guys to come play for a school like Mizzou, but he does it every single year. And even if he doesn't, he wins with the talent that he has. This wouldn't be a head coach that I think fires a lot of people up, but I think it would be one that could do some interesting things with the Florida Gators. And last on the list, we had to talk about him, Urban Meyer, formerly at Florida. And it's funny because it feels like Urban Meyer and Billy Napier are the antithesis of each other. With Billy Napier, you had this great guy who just couldn't win football games. With Urban Meyer, you have this guy who couldn't lose football games, but I don't know how good of a person he is, right? I think we all kind of know how good of a person he is. But if you're Florida, you got to weigh, do we want to win football games or do we want to have Saints as our head coaches? I think after this Billy Napier run, you kind of have the answer to that question. Now, would Urban Meyer come out of retirement and do it? I don't think so. He's got a lot of health problems that he's been dealing with, but he's won a national championship in the last 11 years, and so he's the name that you got to at least mention, you got to talk about, and I wonder how serious Florida's taking him. We're going to end it the way we started it. Who do you think will be Florida's next head coach? You let me know in the comment section down below. I gave you 10 names. Give me one right now. Let's get into it for today's show. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Chat Sports is the place to be. If you love college football, the NBA, the NFL, you got it right here. So lock us in.